asking RALSTON every time we talk to him, what happened to Statin? Have they released their report as yet? RALSTON HYMAN, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Welcome to the show. We are
Thank
live.
you very much.
Yes, man, and we're early this morning because a whole heap of things to be dealt with.
And I hope you have all of the apologies and skeptics listening.
Well, we send out a message to all of them, tell them to forward. Because right now, when I tell people where my respect for you come from, sometimes they don't understand. And I said to them, I respect RALSTON HYMAN because this man talk things before them happen. This man is not a mere commentator. This man is an analyst that analyze the data and make a call. Now, Raleigh, here we are.
Yep.
Here we are this morning. Statin has released their report. Tell us some of the things that are in this report from Statin before we start digging into them. Yeah.
All right, but first off, we want the country to know, as we have been telling them all along, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica is the country's premier data collections agency under the 1984 Statistics Amendment Act.
Yes.
Not the Planning Institute of Jamaica. Norman Manley founded the Planning Institute of Jamaica, headed by Professor Don Mills. Its job is about planning, to tell the government how many schools to build, which industry is not contributing properly to the economy, not to be front-run Statin in terms of dissemination of data on GDP. Statin is the official agency for data on GDP, inflation, international trade, labor force survey. What we have noticed in recent times, particularly on Niger class, Planning Institute of Jamaica and the Bank of Jamaica has been competing with Statin. And if you notice, even the way they treat the staff, if you look at the buildings and the way they treat the staff, the people from PIOT and BOJ gets better paid than the people from Statin. They live in better buildings than the people from Statin. Although Statin is the official agency which actually goes out there and measure and is a part of the International Statistical Network. So what we've been seeing is that Wayne and the Planning Institute has always been giving Niger good news. And that is why Planning Institute of Jamaica, they always come out before Statin and try to front-run Statin and give the most positive news to the government about the economy, public relations.
Yes.
Now, last year, Wayne and we told the country that we were not in any recession. It was ideological shocks and all kinds of crap. Right? Statin now releases.
The Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, all of them come out and say, well, we're not in recession.
Yeah, man, and all the bogus analysts, people who call themselves analysts, who are just PR commentators for the government.
Yes.
Well, Statin now told us that we had 3 consecutive quarters of decline. The official definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters. Statin now told us that we had 3.
Okay.
Statin said that we declined by 0.7% during the second quarter of last year, 5.5% during the third quarter when the Planning Institute told us that it was only 3.3%, and 2.4% during the fourth quarter when the Planning Institute told us it was 0.8%. So the Planning Institute estimate is 3 times below that of Statin.
So hold on now, RALSTON. So 7 and 4 are 11 and 5 is 16. So you put on the 6 and carry 1 over here. So that means the country declined by 8.6% last year.
If you were to do it quarter by quarter, but what I'm doing them annualize it, that's how we measure it. So the quarter of this year over the quarter of this year over the quarter of last year. If we were to do it that way, that's what we get, but then do quarter over year.
Okay. Right. So based on the second quarter of last year, we declined by 0.7%, 0.7. Based on the third quarter of 2023, the last year we're talking about is 2023, we declined by 5.5%. That's very high. And the fourth quarter, we declined by 2.4%.
And he told the nation that it was only 0.8%. He has no credibility.
And he did not tell us about the second quarter decline.
No, precisely.
So, hold on, RALSTON. So the Prime Minister of Jamaica never know this?
Of course he know. Members of the Planning Institute of Jamaica and the Statistical Institute of Jamaica fall under the Ministry of Finance. And the Prime Minister is the de facto Minister of Finance.
But the Minister of Finance, didn't she know this as well?
Of course, because she came out and defended the thing too. So all of them was misleading the country. So they must be very ashamed. Well, they're not ashamed. They must be very ashamed of themselves now. But the people are not ashamed.
So all the people who have been saying that the economy is doing well, what do you have to say to them now, RALSTON?
Well, them just need to, well, as I said, them should be ashamed, but as important to make them not ashamed, so they never hide themselves. Yet they must still come out and talk to people. And so the Jamaican people are so passive. Then still listen to them. Yeah, but them people still have to hide themselves. If it was a place like America and them places, they would have to hide themselves. Them could have nothing to do with public policy again.
But there's no...
But them say Jamaican people understand that, so them can't tell them anything I get to.
No. What does this say, though, to the reporting mechanism of the country?
What is the reporting mechanism? What do you mean?
Like, who is supposed to be reporting these things? I mean, we get a lot of...
Come on. Majority of them people don't understand. They are the charlatans. And the rest of them, we don't know what the rest of them are doing.
No, but it shows the country is in a problem, RALSTON, because
of course,
if we are not
deficit.
getting the true figures, if the true figures are not coming to us, and we have leaders who are willing to lie to us and accept false figures, so them never know say this did all come out.
Well, that's the point I'm making. You get the point. Yep. So what's with them not the shame? People them just know such a that's a 9-year wonder. RALSTON and Colin are talking about it, and then the people just forgot about it.
So hold on now. Second, and what was the first quarter growth?
For when?
For 2024.
2%.
So it grew by 2%
during the first quarter, and then declined by 0.7% during the second quarter, 5.5% during the third quarter, 2.4% during the fourth quarter. So
we basically have an overall decline for 2024.
Yeah, man. Right? Why Barbados grew by 4.4% in 2024 with a debt to GDP of 107%, and the Bahamas grew by 3.5%.
And Grenada?
Yeah, Grenada grew by over 3% too, 3.5%. Every other Caribbean country grew by over 3%.
All the other Caribbean countries grew by over 3%.
Yeah, man.
So the only countries when I grew away are 80.
Jamaica and 80, yeah, man.
So Jamaica and 80 are Caribbean.
Yeah, man. Of course.
No, of course. I'm not laughing because I am happy. I am laughing because I don't want to cry. No, RALSTON, the first quarter for 2025.
All right. Let me get into that story now. But before so, I'll give another scholarly explanation. Because I'll be a charlatan to deal with.
Yes.
The concept of GDP, was first developed by Professor Simon Cosmet. He taught at Harvard University and one of the key figures of what they call the US National Bureau of Economic Research. That concept was developed in 1937. How you measure the value of what you produce, right?
Yes.
Now, what we saw with Statin is that Statin last week them sent out a release. Them have this press conference on Thursday where they want to tell the country about some changes that they want to make in terms of how they calculate the GDP.
You mean last week?
That has come sudden, sir. We'll see that now back suddenly, sir. Yeah?
Hold on, RALSTON.
So while we're expecting just the normal reporting on GDP, we saw... Hello?
Hold on. You said last week, meaning the end of June to the beginning of July? Just last week?
Yeah, man. When they know, because them get the GDP numbers a quarter apart. So on June 30, we expect the GDP numbers, right?
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, we saw this release from them that they might release the GDP numbers, but they might announce some changes that they might make in terms of the calculation. All right?
Right.
So what them tell us now, say, what them do is that them change what we call the base year, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we have what we call nominal GDP or current GDP. And what we call growth is measured in terms of real GDP.
Yeah.
So what I say, when you produce certain goods and services, like the production for this year, inflation is built in it, right? So in order to get the real value of what you produce, you have to take out inflation out of it. You follow me?
Okay.
Right. So we used to use 2007, right? So we add up all of the inflation between 2007 and the first quarter of this year and subtract it from the nominal value of production to get the real value of production.
Yes.
All of a sudden, them tell us, boy, they might change it to 2015.
They're changing the base year to 2015. Were there requirements set in for how you change the base year and if it should change or when does it change?
No.
So there was no requirement to change it?
No. They must come up suddenly with this thing. You follow me?
Yeah.
All right. Now, it automatically means once you change the base year, and bring it to the more current period of time, it means that you take out some of the inflation out of it. So if you use 2007 base year to calculate GDP up to the fourth quarter of last year, if you now move to 2015 to calculate GDP for the first quarter of this year, you must get a higher GDP.
Right, so you take out 7 years of inflation out of it.
You get the point.
But RALSTON, you remember every time we talk about starting and what they're coming with and they are
Yeah,
supposed to come.
ask me if them all reach to them. Yeah.
I always said to you, do you think that there will be government interference with starting?
Yep.
So am I to understand from what you are saying to me that there have been some interference or allegedly some interference with starting?
Well,
because could starting, hold on, the question is, could starting change the base year by themselves or they got instruction?
No, man. They would have to hear from the Ministry of Finance about that, man. That would have to be a government thing. Yeah, I remember starting now have a permanent head, you know. Somebody
is acting
head. Acting, yeah. So an acting person would be more vulnerable than somebody who is
permanent.
Yeah,
right.
Precisely.
Somebody who can say, no, I'm not do that because
precisely. Yeah.
So Jamaicans, the understanding is that the Andrew Wellness-led administration, we don't know who, somebody from the administration. And if I am to make a guess, it would be somebody from the Finance Ministry.
Ministry of Finance. That falls under the Ministry of Finance.
Or the Prime Minister himself.
Or the office of the Prime Minister. It can't come from nowhere. Nobody else can interfere in that matters.
So they made these changes. And what are the results now, Ralston, of moving the base year to check your GDP?
All right.
From
so the base year,
2007 to 2015.
Yeah, that gives you a lower inflation. Lower inflation means higher real GDP.
Yes.
Apart from that, what them do, them split out we used to call it transport, storage, and communication sector.
Hold on, Ralston, don't go to them new sector yet because I want the people to know what is Jamaica's real GDP now?
Real GDP now is like $1 trillion.
1 trillion.
Yeah, nominal GDP at 3.842 trillion. So nominal GDP is 3 times real GDP because of inflation. So if you take out some of the inflation, it means that real GDP gets closer to nominal GDP.
Right. So based on the new base year that they are using, real GDP is now 1 trillion.
Yeah, man.
All right. Let's go to the other changes that they have made in starting. Let's go.
Yeah, what I'm saying now is that normally there was a classification called transport, storage, and communication sector. What them split it out and have a sector now what them call information and communication.
So this is like a new industry.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Them said that grew by 6.4%. That recorded the highest growth of all the sectors in the economy.
But grow from what? Because if it is new, where was it last year? It wasn't there last year. But
no.
this was this in another industry last year?
It was grouped with the transport storage. We used to call it transport, storage, and communication.
Right. And them call it what they call it now?
Yeah, them split it out now and call that information and communication. And then that recorded the highest growth of all sectors in the economy. So the new sector recorded the highest growth of all sectors, 6.4%.
6.4%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then now, the transport grew by 1.9%.
Yes.
You follow me? And then them come with a sector now them call public administration and defense.
What is that? What does that?
Well, they need to tell us, even the most sympathetic critic like Donovan McDonald said, what the hell is this? Because what the hell is this? And then said that grew by 1.3%. Public administration and defense is more an expense to the country rather than a growth sector. So even a man like Donovan said, what the hell is this? Yeah?
Yes.
They might take the thing to the ridiculous. Them say that grow by 1.3%. And then them come with one now what them call other services.
Other services.
Which them say grew by 1%.
So it is only. What about agriculture?
Agriculture grew by 3.1% in the goods producing sector, manufacturing by 1.7%, mining by 0.7%, and construction by 1.4%. So the goods producing sector grew by 2%, and the services sector grew by 0.8%. But interestingly, normal them usually say tourism are the biggest growth sector within the services sector. The new sector that them create, information and communication, was the biggest growth, 6.4%.
Where's tourism?
So a new sector is the fastest growth in the services sector.
Where is tourism?
Tourism was like 1%.
Grew by 1%. Now, if we had not have these new sectors, Ralston, it's what? 3 of them or 4 of them?
Call them 4. We don't have no growth.
So if we hadn't put in these new sectors, we would still be in a recession. Or does this 1.1?
Hold on, man. Hold on. It have been not in a recession. It have been in a deeper recession.
So
between the changes of the base year and the creation of new sectors, that is how they get the 1.1% growth.
So they had to
doctor the books.
Tailor the books.
Yep.
To get 1.1%?
1.1%
growth.
Yep.
By your analysis, after 3 quarters of decline, are we still in a recession?
Well, then would have to now beat the 1.1% that suggests them on the recovery path. But we'll wait to see what is going to happen in the second quarter. Because what we saw is that this quarter was filled with instability. All of the companies then that report either made losses or significant declines in profitability. We see the Bank of Jamaica struggling, dollar still closed at $160 and 60-odd cents yesterday, despite the heavy central bank intervention and all of those things.
How much did the central bank spend on the dollar this week?
Well, last week they spent $110 million. So since the start of this year, they've done $580 million US. And they map up and they map up 130 billion Jamaican dollars.
But we sure I was asking how much they spent this week. We know they spent what? 45 million Monday?
Yeah, man. Them never go back in the US dollars. Them map up some 42 billion in CDs. Jamaican dollars.
And they spend 45
billion. Well, I think what people
US.
have to understand, bro, are 2 ways them intervene, you know. Them either go in at the reserves and use US dollars, or then take out Jamaican dollars out of the system.
So people have less money to buy the US dollar.
People have less money to buy, yeah.
Now, the whole thing about doctoring these books, Ralston, when you go back, is it that we are going to just keep this base year of 2015? Was it a wise idea, though, to move the base year from 2007 to 2015?
Well, I believe that if you are going to do that, you cannot do that suddenly, so because it's a distort the thing. So it's a distortion we get, you cannot do it, so.
How should it have been done?
Well, them should have, what I say, them should have wait until the end of a party, just give the people them notice and say, at the end of the fiscal year, this is what we're going to do. Or at the end of the calendar year, this is what we're going to do. You can't just come sudden when the economy is in a slump, because everybody must get suspicious. The economy is in a slump, and you just come 2 days before you announce the GDP for the next quarter and say, by the way, we'll make some changes, you know.
So would it be fair then for me to assume, and people, I'm not making an ass of myself and you, but I'm going to assume, would it be fair to assume that Statin submit their findings to the Ministry of Finance, showing that we have another decline? The ministry said to them, say, no, this not going to go to the country. Go back. Do these things. Them get them consultants and them actuaries and everything, and work out this kind of doctoring, because this seems like major surgery was done.
Or it could be proactive that the ministry makes sure to Statin to make sure that we don't release nothing like that again. Yeah, to show say another decline.
But the reason why I'm looking at it that way, Ralston, you said it was just last week that Statin called a press conference to say that we are making these changes. So it leaves me to believe that is major surgery was done to doctor the books.
Yeah, and I'm saying to you that I don't believe that the initiative came from starting. I believe that the initiative would come from the authorities and said, make sure so not release nothing where so we have a negative thing, because remember them had already started say that them on the recovery part and them thing.
Definitely.
And worse like when you have somebody acting at starting, yeah, they have to take the instructions.
Right, because the person that's starting don't have security of tenure in that job.
Precisely, you get the point.
You are told what to do, and you want, and that person wants to suck up to everybody so he can actually get the job if possible.
Precisely.
Now, when we look at the whole of this, RALSTON, people are going to say this is an election ploy.
Mm-hmm.
What say you?
Yeah, man, I mean, I agree. I agree, because guess what? There's a disjuncture between the 1.1% growth recorded and what is really happening on the ground with the companies that are listed on the stock exchange. Remember, our companies producing.
Yes.
So the GDP number is supposed to measure the production of the companies.
Yes.
So all of the companies that might lose money on the GDP increase.
Yes, because we hear it every morning. If you listen, people,
we have to deal with them things every day. We pull them
report.
things every day. We depend on the stock exchange website. We have to write all of the reports about them things.
Yeah.
All of the big companies will produce and make less profits or make losses. So how the GDP increase and the man they lose money? Where the money are going? Now the see?
Metro Siaga company profit tumbled by 87% last week.
Yeah, man. In profits move from millions to thousands. Yep. Profits move from millions to thousands, and that is why them start all a different stance in relation to the FID issue. You know, it's not because them concerned about Jamaica. The economic thing affect them in them pocket now, so them start talk out.
Yeah, because finally we hear the churches coming out, we hear the Small Business Association coming out. We hear the PIOJ coming out now saying that they want the information why the job description was changed. So that
it's all about money. Them start feeling it at them bottom line now. So they must say, oh, we have to show this government so we don't really approve of some of the things with them. Yep. And since that are the issue out there now, them start weighing on that issue. But it's all about selfishness. It's all about their money, their pocket.
RALSTON, we talk about real GDP and nominal GDP. And we talk about GDP itself, the debt to GDP. But what is Jamaica's real debt?
If we have a measure debt to GDP using real GDP, yeah, would have been like over 100% still.
Right.
Yep.
But what I want you to say to my viewers, how much money Jamaica owe locally and internationally? What is our debt? What is our real
debt burden at 2.3 trillion.
$2.3 trillion. That's what Jamaica.
Right. So if we were to use
and this
real
is US,
GDP,
and this is US dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
If we were to use real GDP, it means that the debt to GDP would be like 143%.
So if we use real GDP, the debt would be like 143%.
Yep. But what we do now, they measure debt to GDP in terms of nominal GDP. That is why we're at the 60%.
Right. I want to go back to 2016. What was our real debt in 2016?
As I said, the debt at that time was like $2.2 trillion thereabouts. So it hardly moved down.
No, but this would have moved down if it was 2 trillion or even 2.2. You just said it is now 2.3 trillion. So it would have been increased a little.
Yeah, man.
So when we talk about bringing down the debt, and the government said that they have been able to bring down the debt. And
no, man,
I listen to him carefully because, yes, I know the debt to GDP is down. But if you just stop at bringing down the debt, is that really true?
No, man, them things are just con game, man. Remember, say, them man they understand, so the people them not understand. That's why when we dep on them program, I teach. You mean
Right.
know so the people them not understand.
So that's why
understand.
That's why me ask simple questions so that my simple listeners can understand. Are we really bringing down the debt? And I'm stopping at
no,
debt.
not in absolute terms. We are bringing down the ratio.
The ratio.
So we are bringing down the amount of debt we hold as a percentage of the nominal GDP. You follow me?
So is the debt to basically what it is that we are producing on our collaterals that really work out the debt to GDP, to your gross domestic product? What we have compared to what we owe. It's a ratio.
Yes, man. And remember, that ratio is based on inflation-driven GDP. You follow me?
Yes.
If you were to use your real GDP, it would be higher.
And that is the one you said would be at 143%.
Yeah, man. That's why I want people to understand these concepts. Because even if you understand certain concepts, what time I chat a full system I chat. But to know the people don't understand.
And that's why I'm bringing this point forcefully this morning. Our debt is higher now than it was in 2016.
Yeah, man.
We owe more money than we owed in 2016. So when you hear the Prime Minister coming out and say we have been able to bring down the debt, if him stop at debt, it is a lie. If him got debt to GDP, no, that is true.
Yep.
Very good. Now, RALSTON also said that they are going to release the census result. Did I get that clear?
Yeah, that them said. I want them said by September or something like that.
By September, they are going to release the census result. What do you make of that, RALSTON?
Well, let's see. Let's have a wait and see.
No, but we know that the census have not been completed.
Precisely. We're not seeing nobody out there the field of the census. We're not seeing a correction.
Not been counted. So
nobody not come to me. Nobody not come to me neither. And nobody not go to nobody with me no neither.
So tell me, that's why I'm asking you what you make of that announcement that they are going to release census figures.
That's about another con game, another bogus game. All of those institutions are losing credibility. Yeah, you see that credibility of those institutions. We have to start check them now, because the political interference, because we know of the controversy related to the census. We know you have no restarting of the census. We don't see no census take up on the road and do no work and anything. So how them all release results?
That is a concern for me.
Yeah, but it must be a concern, man. How them all release results of something that is not completed?
Did the government spend the entire $4 billion that was allocated for the census?
And some people, other people them still not getting a pay and all of them something.
So you are saying that the entire $4 billion was spent?
Well, certainly need to tell us. They need to tell us.
But the country have a serious trust deficit, RALSTON.
Yeah, man.
We don't trust the leaders anymore.
Yeah, and you know what the problem now? First time, even if you don't trust the leaders, you could not trust the technicians. We don't trust the technicians anymore.
Why don't we trust the technicians anymore?
Because I want to see them do. Look what happened up at PIOJ. Yeah, and look what we see come up now starting now. So it was first PIOJ trying to doctors to give them no recession, 3.3, 0.8, and then we turn out 3 consecutive quarters of decline, which is more than a recession. Deeper than we think, 5.5, 2.4. Then starting comes now and said, we can't see the play now. Starting comes now and said, boy, we have to release a number will show so we'll come out of the recession. All right, then call starting on the phone. All right, then tell starting and give them instructions and say, make sure the release a number will show so we'll come out of the recession. And then starting to say, oh, by the way, what the best way to do it is that we're going to reduce the base. Yeah?
No, continue. Sorry about that.
What I think that we're going to do, we're going to change the base here, and then we're going to create some new sectors. Yep. So that we get
All right. So
that don't look good.
No, it cannot. It cannot.
That don't look good, brother. That don't look good.
RALSTON, the PIOJ, a PIOJ them name? Dr. Wayne Henry.
Yeah, man.
They said to us that poverty was down to 8.2%. Have Statin said anything about poverty?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Isn't Statin the authority that is supposed to tell us where poverty is?
Statin is the authority on all of them things, a survey of living conditions and all of them things. Yep.
So why is in this report Statin not say nothing about poverty?
That's what I say. And we can't say, oh, poverty is being reduced and all of the firms and what people work with and make less money.
Hey, we are in a serious dilemma in RALSTON.
You see it, man.
When our leaders are willing to lie to the people, blatantly lying to the people of Jamaica. And then you have some people who just follow them blindly.
Precisely. And I'm saying to you, it's even worse when the technicians, the people who are supposed to argue with data-driven analyses, adapt the data to suit the political directorate.
Is it that they are afraid of the political directorate, thus really going down the road of a dictatorship? So the government
but
tells
that's one
you,
reason.
The government
that's
tells
one reason,
you what
and
to
some of them are embedded.
Some of them are carrying.
Yeah, man. Some of them are embedded, man.
All right. And therefore, that is how our problem going to multiply.
Yeah, man. Because if you have planned for wrong data, the other dissemination of accurate information is of paramount importance to the smooth functioning of market. So if you use wrong data, then you're going to get the result over again. Yeah? See there? That's why them give buyers baskets to carry water, because they move off of wrong data. Yeah? So when buyers intervene and things the economy will catch up that we earn more foreign exchange. Nothing like that. So if you intervene, every single day and nothing happen. The dollar still can move from 160, 161 with all of the interventions.
But if we're not producing, RALSTON, how it going to move?
So that's what I said. That's what I said. And a recession means that your production slow down. So if you're in no recession, yeah, you know, if you tell yourself so you're not in a recession, you never come with no corrective policy. That is why there's no corrective policy. And that is why buyers are fair the way I do every day, because the country now earn a foreign exchange, because there's no policy to drive the earning of foreign exchange.
That have been my concern from day
one.
Man,
there's no policy. But man, tell themselves that they're sick, so they don't need a medicine.
There you go. If you don't admit that you're sick, you're not going to seek medical attention. And therefore, the sufferation continues.
That's a go on. If them just suffer themselves, it's not bad and not too bad, but they must suffer everybody. That's a go on. In denial.
So how long you see this continuous intervention by the BOJ, even though the IMF, you told us last time that the IMF told them to stop intervene. How long you see them continuing with this intervention?
As long as there's no policy, we believe them will intervene again next week with some more CD, because the dollar's still there at 168 or something. As long as there's no policy to reduce the demand for foreign exchange and to increase the supply of foreign exchange, this thing is going to continue.
The United States finally passed the bill that there's going to be a 1% tax on remittance.
That's going to be a big problem.
1%? You think 1% going to affect us bigly, RALSTON?
Yeah, man, that's a big problem, man.
Because we're going to get less money.
Remember, sir, it's not only the 1% tax, you know. Remember the situation where a lot of people in the US right now, they're afraid to go to work because of what going on with Donald and ICE and all of them things. And the American economy itself is slowing down, so people are going to lose jobs eventually. Yeah? So all those things are going to affect us. Yeah? And we are not earning foreign exchange. Tourism is slowing down, they tell us that. So between the tourism earnings and the earnings from remittances is a problem, because they're not developing other sources of foreign exchange. You follow me?
Yes.
Yep.
So the Jamaican economy, there is no plan to grow this economy.
No.
There's
you know that, man. Even when we're in a recession, the man them say with them not in a recession, so them not come with no plan to deal with it.
And we squander $12.4 billion that could have used to drive agriculture, could have used to drive the culture and the creative industry, could have used to drive renewable energy sources in the country. Ralston, before you go, the license to GPS. I hear the minister in a very combative tone. What are the dangers if we get into a fight with GPS?
I find myself in a very bad situation. What the man needs to do is just negotiate with the man then quietly and try to get them things like the monopoly and distribution, things like passing on the 28% losses to the paying consumers, things like the guaranteed profits. Renegotiate them things with the man. They can't, but the man tell the world say, yo, if them boy didn't do what we say, they know what happened to them. Them things can't work, man. And that's a government operate, and that's a big man operate.
The other question, Ralston. How much does Jamaica, the government of Jamaica, receive annually from JPS?
Well, them have 19%.
Right.
So whatever they make, them get 19% of dividend, 19.9% to be precise.
Have the government ever made a report on what they are collecting from JPS?
No.
Is that something that the country should be made aware of?
Yeah, man. We should know how much dividend we get for 19%. Yeah, what share of the profits we get for 19.9%, yes.
So why we're not getting those reports? Why we don't get those reports?
Because nobody in Jamaica no business with nothing, you know. You see people them live, no better than them, we just drink rum and boom and we just listen to music and everything good. And the government know that. That's why they operate the way they operate.
One of the things that really concerns me when I listen to the minister, and I've been saying this from Beryl, that even Beryl, instead of the minister join with GPS and get our lights up back quick and fast, he was fighting with GPS like we don't have a stake. We have, I call it 20%. We have 20% stake in GPS. We are partners, but we don't. Even in Beryl, we never sound like partners. We didn't send in the military to assist GPS to get back people light up quick and fast.
Correct.
We were fighting with GPS, and right now, when I listen to the minister, I see another fight coming.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't want that. Because this is energy supply. This is very important to the economy. We don't want anything like that. We want a smooth negotiations as our businesses negotiate. And when I say, him have to be careful, him not drive away other investors, because the man might say, yo, I saw the deal thing, a bad man thing, not deal with enough man never come. Yeah, because you're setting at a environment where people look at the environment and say, that's hostile. I not getting at that. Precisely. So already, you have the crime, you have the exchange rate volatility, you have the low levels of productivity, and then now you damage the climate with this kind of thing where it look like you want to expropriate people things. I want to say all the communists and socialists do that up there.
All right. So I did an interview with Philip Palwell a few weeks ago, and he made it clear that we are paying 20% for losses to the GPS, people who are stealing light. And he also told us that when the PNP leave government in 2016, our renewable sources was 12.1% of our supply. That has not increased by not even 1%.
Yeah, man.
He said that he brought down the price of electricity in Jamaica to 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Where was it before?
Over 40 cents. Yeah, man.
But where was it before? Where did he bring it down from? What was it before? Can you remember?
Well, we were up to about 45 cents, 50 cents thereabouts,
And he brought it back down to 20 cents per kilowatt
hour,
man. And was working on it. And right now we are between 40 and 50 cents per kilowatt hour. He's blaming the government and said it's a government issue why it went back up.
It's true, because they haven't done anything about it. They just gave them issue or request for proposals and them add all the taxes to the thing too. It's true.
Ralston, let me thank you for coming on this morning. We're going to talk to Fenton Ferguson next about this dead baby thing.
By the way, the high cost of energy, that was part of the price for the 1.5 million.
Hold on. Go again.
the tax that them put on for energy, both gasoline and JPS, was part of the price to pay the 32 billion I'm tell you about for the 1.5 million scam that they used to win the election.
So that is why our electricity bill went up. Hello, Tala. Thank you for bringing back that to the discussion.
Yeah, man. You don't forget, man. Remember, they nearly crucified me for that, you know.
When you told them that the 1.5 could not be revenue neutral, one of the tax that they added was to energy, to the electricity bill.
Yeah, man. The electricity as also the tax on gasoline. Yeah, man.
Holy moly. So we're still paying for that 1.5.
Still paying for that 1.5. I get it.
RALSTON, HYMAN, you're a teacher.
Yeah, man.
You are our teacher.
Have to do, teach the people, man. Yeah, man.
And I say to the trolls and the surrogates, go find some facts and beat that. Find some facts and beat that. It is because of the 1.5 why our electricity bill is so high. Go ahead, RALSTON.
And just to put the icing on the cake, and then you can check it. Nigel Clark, apart from being in Brazil 2 weeks ago, he was on television, I think it was Wednesday night, saying that Jamaica got the highest electricity bill in the entire world.
Yeah, we know that. We knew that. We knew that. And that electricity bill is a direct responsibility of the Andrew Holness-led administration.
Yep.
So, when Philip Powell said we can bring down electricity bill by 50%, then he's right.
Yep, of course.
And we have to work towards that. If we want to produce more, see our manufacturers making more money, we have to work towards that.
And stop giving Mr. Biles baskets to carry water. As long as we don't bring down the cost of energy, whoever at the central bank, whether Mr. Biles or somebody else, they might have baskets to carry water.
RALSTON, HYMAN, thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, man.
Blessings.
All right, sir. Blessed love. Yeah, man. Blessed.